Hey everyone, my name's Walter, and we're back here with something I haven't done in a while. We're reading a book written by esteemed author and musician Russell Greer. I'll link to the series in the description, but let's get started with Russell Greer's book, Why I Sued Taylor Swift. So obviously Russell is mostly known for suing Taylor Swift. He even made a petition about it on change.org. Petitioning CEO of Big Machine Records, Scott Borchetta, convinced Taylor Swift to record a disabled man's music. My goal, convincing Taylor Swift to do my music. Seeing that life is beautiful and that challenges can be overcome, I now seek to share my story and inspiration through music by having an artist I greatly admire, Taylor Swift, do a few of my songs for free. My songs I have written are pop/rock songs, and they range from empowering women to get out of bad relationships, inspiring others to have hope through hard times, and challenging others to walk 5 miles in the shoes of somebody they judge. Why you should sign the petition. Most people like underdog stories. We all loved Rocky, and we fell in love with Forrest Gump. As much as those movies inspire us, sad to say, but those movies are fiction. My life, though, is real. My daily challenges are real. If you sign this petition, you would be helping an underdog by convincing people to give me a chance. Even though I have been hurt, I refuse to give up until I hear it from Taylor. If Taylor had told her managers that she wasn't interested, that would be one thing, but they didn't even pass it on to her, so the question remains whether she would have helped me. So I am now going to approach Scott Borchetta, CEO of Taylor's record label, and ask him to convince her. But instead of emailing Scott a regular letter, I decided to do a petition to convince him to talk to Taylor and to show Taylor my aspirations. The petition was actually really long and I skipped almost all of it, so let's get to the book. I think the stalking is about to commence, so it should get more interesting here. Mid-November of 2015 seemingly blew a hole in my plans though. The manager of my law firm called me into her office and fired me, unpleased with my focus on Taylor Swift. I was crushed. I had worked so hard for that job, and for my education, and I was let go after being on the job for only a month. It was right before the holidays too, and I was forced to work in janitorial all over again, as no firms were hiring. I went home the night I was fired and looked at a picture of Taylor on my phone and began to cry. "Taylor," I said tearfully, "I am so sorry if you never hear my efforts and story." I didn't think I would have enough money to produce music and live just on the paycheck of a janitor. Yeah, this actually happened. He lost his job due to the lawsuit. You'd think this would be a wake-up call that you're being crazy. As I mopped the floors of the places I worked at, new music and words began to flow through my head as I worked. I had read up on the life of Taylor Swift, and read how she had to do her last year of high school at home because of bullies. I compared my hardships to Taylor's hardships. I truly understood her. "I get you, Taylor," I said as I cleaned a toilet, thinking about her struggles. The song revolved around how I Get You, which was the title of the song. I would scrub and work as the song came together in my mind. To be clever, I would use the title of some of her songs in my lyrics to show that I was actually a fan and not some random guy. A quick yet steady pop/rock beat formed in my head as a piano and guitars played the melody and rhythm of the song. "Can't imagine being 15, I sang as I worked, and waiting for Romeo on that white horse, making you believe it was a love story. Customers and coworkers must have thought I was crazy when they saw me air guitaring with my mop, but I didn't care. I had found the one thing that would win Taylor Swift over. Each night when I got done with work, I would hurry home and play the music in my head, out on my electronic keyboard, and then I would compose the music on a music notation software program. It was a long, tedious, difficult process that took a lot of time and concentration, but I imagined how happy Taylor would be when she heard it. I could imagine the kisses and the hugs and the laughs her and I would share with each other. I would be the best guy she had ever met. To boot, I would have an inspiring story about not letting my disability or bullies stop me. Wait, has Russell even mentioned bullies in this story? I don't remember any bullies, just people not really liking him in high school. "Sir," the cashier said to me, awakening me from my flashback of how I created the song, "may I ring up your items?" Yes," I sheepishly responded, placing my items on the checkout stand. "Sorry about that." As the cashier rang up my items, I studied the magazine announcing Swift's breakup. I knew that right then was my time to make my move and produce my written song. I was gainfully employed with an insurance company, and so I could afford to record the song, though I was unsure as to where I would produce my song and who would produce it. I didn't have home recording equipment because it never made sense with my disability, nor was my living situation large enough to accommodate that. All I had was an electric piano and my music notation software. It can be easy to forget how insane this is because we've been reading it for a while. Imagine seeing a tabloid at the store that says Taylor Swift broke up with her boyfriend and thinking, oh, here's my chance. Scrolling through the Google search results of Utah music studios, I contacted each studio that fit what I was looking for, a studio that had session musicians and singers. But when I explained what my project was and who it was about and for, I was either ignored or laughed at. Some owners quoted prices higher than what they listed because of what my project was. Obviously, this isn't going to work out, I said to myself as I began to stress out. As a side note, when I get stressed, I talk to myself. I didn't have much time, as I thought she would get with a new boyfriend soon, and I wanted to have a chance at her while she was single. A stroke of inspiration then hit me. What if I hire somebody outside of Utah? For at least an hour, I searched through ads of small music producers. Each ad proclaimed, "We're the best," or "Good quality for good demos." An ad soon caught my eye. Internationally famous. Famously cheap. The ad was for a music studio called Songcat Studios. The website was beautifully designed, which featured pictures of the studio based in New York. The prices for demo production were inexpensive. On the upper right-hand side of the screen was a section that contained the reviews. "Songcat is excellent," raved John. "I now have an offer from a major record label thanks to Songcat," a Marion, Indiana wrote. 5 stars, and if I had 4 thumbs, I would give him a 4 thumbs up, Gary wrote enthusiastically. I was hooked. I listened to their demo samples, and they sounded okay. They weren't the best, but time was of the essence. I didn't have time to be picky. For all I knew, Calvin Harris could come crawling back to Taylor. I could not let that happen. All of the other ads I had listened to didn't yield any good demo samples. I soon contacted Chris, the producer for the studio, and before I knew it, a PayPal transaction had been made. I gave Songcat the sheet music, a rough MP3 of what the sheet music sounded like, a rough recording of me playing and singing the song on my piano, and typed production notes. On the production notes, I instructed the producer to add flavor to the song. I was the happiest I had ever been in my life. My dreams were about to come true. Oh no, Russell. You get what you pay for, man. Imagine saying fuck it and rushing when you're trying to give a song to well-known songwriter Taylor Swift. I could imagine Taylor sitting next to me in the back seat of an upper-class limo as we both listened to the song I had produced. A mini disco ball spun above us. In my imagination, I looked over and saw Taylor crying. I pulled out a hanky and wiped her tears. "Oh, Russell," Taylor cried. "This is the sweetest thing a guy has done for me." Well, I imagined I was too embarrassed to say anything, as I was sitting next to the most famous person in the world. And then I imagined Taylor looking at me with a seductive look. She bit her bottom lip as she leaned in towards me. "You know what I want to do, Russ?" Taylor Swift whispered to me. I stuttered, trying to be cool. "My degree isn't in mind reading, Taylor," I said bashfully. "I can certainly guess." "Let's have," Taylor began. My heart stopped. "Ice cream," she finished her sentence with a devilish smile. My heart picked up on its regular beat again. I regained my manliness and cleared my throat. "Rufus," I loudly called out to the limo driver in a hoarse voice. "Take us to the nearest Cold Stone." "Yes, sir," the elderly limo driver said in a British accent as he accelerated the limo to hyperdrive, recreating the Star Wars warp speed scene. Yes, everything seemed to be on the right track to winning Taylor over. I was so anxious for the song to finish production, I would check my email 10 times a day to see if the song had been delivered to my inbox. I thought of all the famous actors, singers, models, and guys who were only famous because their grandfathers or relatives were famous. Cough, cough, Eastwood's son. And to my knowledge, none of them had gone to the lengths I had gone to stand out. They only used their celebrity status to get near Taylor. Sure, for all I knew they were great guys, but they did nothing extraordinary like I had done. They probably just did their best Joey from Friends, "How you doin'" impression, and since they were A-listers or B-listers, Taylor fell head over heels for them. That's what separated me from them, and I had confidence that the sincerity of my song and efforts and story would win Taylor over. Wait, so Russell did something extraordinary? He wrote a pop song and spent $400 to have it produced by a cheap studio. How is that extraordinary? Then the notification came. I quickly jumped up and literally did a front flip over my bed and then logged onto my computer. Excitedly, I opened my inbox and there the email was, with a subject line reading, "Taylor Swift song." The butterflies were going crazy in my stomach trying to get out. With a nervous hand, I guided my cursor to open the MP3 attachment and then the song began. My ears were burning with anticipation. The song played. After a minute and 30 seconds, the song ended, and I sat in shock. And I don't mean the good kind of shock, like a walking on sunshine shock feeling. "What the hell did I just listen to?" I exclaimed. That kind of shock. My fingers quickly dialed Chris's number. I paced back and forth, fuming. "Russ," Chris greeted. "Chris, what the hell did I just listen to?" I said in my very best polite, angry tone. "We just did what you wrote," Chris replied carefreely. No, I stammered with sternness. "That was not what I wrote. I even sent you rough audio recordings. That definitely was not what I wrote. I told you to add flavor, and it sounds like flipping Sesame Street." "Wow, somebody's not grateful," Chris said in an annoyed tone. "Let me remind you, there are no refunds or redos. We do as is. Thanks, Russ." And then Chris hung up. I stood holding my phone and knew that I had to go relieve my stress or else I was going to punch a wall. So the song sucks, even by Russ's questionable standards. Do you think he's still going to give it to Taylor Swift? You better believe he is. Still upset from the song I spent so hard working on and that I paid for, I entered a local downtown coffee joint on that summer evening of 2016. When I get stressed, I eat donuts, and this joint had the best donuts in all of town. My favorite donuts, maple bars, sat in the glass display case, seemingly calling my name. As I was about to order, a hand slapped my shoulder. I turned and there stood a man I had not seen in a long time. Russ Greer, Ken Carter, a scruffy-haired man in his mid-40s, greeted me. Ken was an attorney whom I had worked with when I interned at the Attorney General's office. "Ken," I said with surprise. "Oh my gosh, how are you?" "I'm great. Just got done with my favorite cup of joe and read the paper," Ken said. "You still at the AG's office?" I questioned. No, I'm in private practice again. Business law. That's where the good money is," Ken said with a wide smile. Ken was one of the greatest guys I had ever met. He was so affable. "Well, happy to hear," I said shortly. Ken could tell I was upset. "You look a little down," Ken said frankly. "Yeah, I spent a bunch of money making a song about Taylor Swift," I began. "Oh, T-Swizz. She's the best," Ken proclaimed. "Isn't she?" I agreed. "But the guy whom I paid to produce it kind of sucked. He advertised himself as the greatest and even had a bunch of reviews." "Dang, bro. You gotta watch out for those online scams," Ken warned. "Can I listen to it?" I pulled out my iPhone 6 and we both listened to the song Chris had sent me. Ken nodded his head as he listened to the song. "Interesting," Ken said after the song ended. "I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's not terrible." "No, but it didn't match my vision, and I just spent a bunch of money recording and will have to wait till next month to hire somebody else with my paycheck," I explained. The reviews sounded really fake, by the way. I guess I'm not sure if it's because Russell fabricated them for the purposes of this book or not. I did find an article about this Chris guy, though. "If I were you," Ken advised, "I would get the song that you paid for, your sheet music, anything else to show the effort you put in, and send it to Taylor. She's such a sweet girl. I'm sure she will understand." Ken was such a stud. He was so influential and wise. Some of my doubt had been lifted from my shoulders after hearing Ken's words. Maybe I was overreacting. After all, people had sent Taylor pretty lousy minor stuff. As an example, Taylor had posted pictures on Twitter of subway cards sent to her that were only $15, so she would surely like a song written about her. But it wasn't just the mediocre song I wanted her to have. It was my story of overcoming adversity, my story of wanting to be somebody, of wanting to find who Russell Greer was. Man, I can help with that. Russell Greer is a lolcow, and basically the king of the nice guys. Images of Calvin Harris covered in mud and filth, kneeling down in front of Taylor, hands clasped, begging for one more chance, flashed through my mind. Even worse, images of a rich 70-year-old billionaire in his fancy helicopter, picking up Taylor and whisking her away to an island somewhere beyond the sunset, flashed through my mind. I had to hurry. I wasn't confident in the song, but I was confident in Taylor Swift. The idea came to mind to put the song to a video with pictures of me, just so the song wouldn't be so bland. With determinations, I tailored, play on words of the word Taylor, away on the video. Unsure if I should do the voiceover for the video in my alien English, I was able to convince my oldest brother to do a 30-second blurb on who I was and why Taylor should give me a chance to consider my ambitions. After the video was completed, I felt so much more confident. This was foolproof, and nothing would or could go wrong. Russell, Taylor Swift was worth hundreds of millions of dollars even back then. Why do you think she needs a billionaire sugar daddy? Anyway, I think I'll cut it off there. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have anything to say, make sure you let me hear it in the comments. Thanks also to my amazing patrons who support me more directly over on Patreon. It really helps out. Have a great day, everyone, and imagine being 15, waiting for Romeo on that white horse.